Okay guys, we're going to get into this really fast because I've been promising you an Asian-inspired coleslaw for a couple of videos now, and I'm getting hungry, so let's go cook. So I've got about a pound of cabbage here. It's a quarter of a head. It's a really big head of cabbage, and I'm cutting it by hand. You can use a food processor if you want, but I had a bad experience of making 8 pounds of coleslaw and the food processor giving up midway through, so just do it by hand now. Also, if you don't have a food processor, no excuses. You can see you can do it by hand. These thin cutting boards, they slide around a lot, but the ability to just dump everything right into a bowl after I'm done cutting it is going to make up for that. My celery I'm going to cut on a bias, meaning just on a diagonal, and it's going to give my celery an appearance of being bigger than it really is. And I'll show you that bias just makes the cut look a little bigger. And it can be a little nerve-wracking the first few times you do it, but if you practice, you can get good and fast. Dump it in the bowl and you'll see the buildup of colors we have in this dish. So we're going to take a red pepper, take one side of it off, just about a quarter of the pepper, and the same with the yellow pepper, like so. And of course we're going to remove that rib. That white pith is kind of bitter, so we don't want that. And we're just going to cut these into thin strips. Everything thin, you know, like coleslaw. And into the bowl. And now you're going to start seeing that color really build up quick. Green onions, again, we're going to cut them on a bias and give them a good quarter to a half-inch cut, just so they have a little size in the bowl. Radishes, again, thin slices, and again, doing it by hand. Food processor is faster if you have one. If you don't, not a problem. If you have $20 to $30, you can also go out and buy a mandolin, and you can cut very thin on a mandolin, very evenly. Just be careful that you don't thinly, evenly slice your fingertips off. And let's take a second to talk about vegetable peelers. There's a straight blade style and the Y style. The Y style has the blade at a 90-degree angle to the handle. You got to kind of hold your hand backwards to use it, but it's pretty quick when you get used to it. The blade style is just like using a knife. And here you can see that straight razor edge of the Y blade. And this is the blade style. And this one has a serrated blade so that you can peel more fragile things like tomatoes. And this is a julienne blade, so you can use these to julienne the vegetable you just peeled, and you do it just the same as when you peel it. And it's a little bit more difficult because you're biting into that flesh a little harder, but it can be done. These give you a nice thin flat julienne, and then this style here has a rounder edge and it gets a deeper cut, so it's a larger julienne. And if you're having trouble, you can always just split the carrot like so and cut that on a bias just like we did our celery. And of course, if you have the mandolin, you can use the mandolin, but again, be careful. Fingertips don't go in this recipe. So we're going to put this all in the bowl, show you that color blast of that slaw, and we're going to add some sugar snap peas. I like to snap the ends off and give a pull and see if there's a string down the back of that pod. That can be a not so pleasant eating experience. Then we're going to use about a quarter of a cup loose of chopped cilantro, and now we're going to go into making our sauce. We're going to start with a half cup of mayonnaise, and you can split this to a quarter cup mayonnaise and a quarter cup of sour cream. Then we're going to go in with 2 tablespoons of honey, 1 tablespoon of plain white sugar, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, and 3 teaspoons of citric salt. Now the citric salt, if you didn't make it, you can always use 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of lemon zest. Then we added 2 tablespoons of soy sauce and 4 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar, and finishing off with 3 tablespoons of sriracha. Now you can find all of these ingredients in your big box store. Just give those a good mixing, pour it onto your slaw, and here comes the fun part. Get your hands dirty. It's the best way to mix this stuff up. Now I promise you we'd do something with this, so we've got a couple dozen large shrimp here, and we're going to put these on a paper towel and just arrange them flat so we can dry them off, pat them dry, Being dry will help the tempura batter that I have made stick to them. So we're going to let a little of that excess run off, and then we're going to head to the fryer, which is piping hot, and kind of dip these in, give them a swirl. That way they won't stick to the bottoms of the basket or the sides. And I'm just going to let this run, because this is really literally going to take 2 minutes. I'm going to do about 4 or 5 shrimp here at a time, and we're just going to keep frying them off until they're done. It literally takes 2 minutes. I just realized I forgot to show you how to make the batter. Well, I guess that'll give me something to do this weekend. You can come back on Monday. How about that? Alright, when you see your batter turning brown, you know you're just about there. You're going to give these a little bit of a shake to make sure that they're not stuck to each other or to the basket. And then you can literally see through that batter to the shrimp. So you'll see it turn pink and you'll know it's done. And like I said, it's 2 minutes. So just do 5, 6 at a time. Once they're done, transfer them to a paper towel on a sheet pan. Give them a little salt. Try not to let anybody snitch them when you're not looking. Now I've got a crusty hoagie bun over here. Yeah, that kind of crusty. I'm just going to split that down the middle, tear it open, and now I'm going to stuff as much shrimp as I can possibly get into there. And then when I've got the shrimp in there, now I'm going to stuff it with that Asian coleslaw. And there you have an Asian style po' boy. Now this slaw is super potent, it is super flavorful, it's spicy, it's smoky, it's sweet, it's got a lot going on, all those vegetables. It looks really pretty, and you can just put the shrimp on it and eat it just like a salad if you want. There's a lot of different presentations for this. And as usual, like, share, subscribe, hit those buttons, make sure to ring that bell for future notifications, and I'm just going to leave this recipe up for a couple of seconds, so go ahead and copy it down.